Hey friends, it's Gubba at the Gubba Homestead, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to set up your Harvest Right freeze dryer. Before we get into that, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another Gubba Homestead adventure. So I just got my first freeze dryer. I did an unboxing video, and to be honest, I was a little nervous. Like, it seems like a lot. There's all these parts, but man, I read the manuals, I did the setup, and it could not be easier. So I want to show you how easy it is and some tips I learned in my setup. Starting out, this is the Premier pump, which comes standard with the purchase of your Harvest Right freeze dryer. So there is the standard pump, the Premier pump, and the oil-less pump. And I went with the Premier just because I read that the oil-less pump, which sounds nice, has to be sent in for maintenance, and you have to pay for the shipping, and then you have all that downtime of not being able to use your pump or your freeze dryer, so it made sense. So the pump comes with this cord that hooks up to your Harvest Right freeze dryer. This is how you get the vacuum seal. And then in the back, it has its power cord, which plugs right into the back of the Harvest Right freeze dryer. It doesn't plug into an outlet, it plugs into the freeze dryer. And then the first thing that you do is you fill up the oil to the halfway mark. And I just put some oil in here this morning and I let it settle so it's a little bit above. The lines are also a little crooked towards the right. So it's just like the tiniest bit above, but it had ran and then dipped down below, so then I added some more oil. You want it right in the center between min and max. Manual says that it comes with enough oil to fill it up once, the Premier high vacuum pump oil, but I still have oil left over and I didn't use this whole carton. As you can see, it's just the tiniest bit above, and I've had to put some more in after it ran, because you always want it to be in the center of min and max. If it goes up above the medium towards max, then more oil will be misted out of the demister. And if it goes below, it can cause damage to the pump, so you want it right in that sweet spot. So when you plug it in and you turn it on, you'll do a set of tests by clicking this, the little leaf in the top part. And you'll click the freeze, you'll toggle the freeze on first, and then you'll let it freeze for 30 minutes. And then you will turn on the vacuum after 30 minutes. And then the pressure, it's reading 60,000 right now. It will drop to 500 or below. And once it's reached that vacuum, then you just click done, because it was a successful test. And if it doesn't reach 500 or below, it means that you have a leak somewhere, whether it's on the door or these aren't secured tightly. And these are just finger tight. I didn't have to use any clamps. It is a secure connection. So whenever you run your Harvest Right freeze dryer, you want the drain valve to be closed, which means it's perpendicular. It's open right now, but I can't do it with one hand, and the other hand I'm holding a camera. You want this to be perpendicular. Let me see if I can do it. Yeah, there we go. You want this to be perpendicular. If it's not perpendicular, you are going to have a vacuum pressure leak and it's not going to function. So you always want this perpendicular, and on the screen through your process, it will tell you when to open the drain valve. And when it does, at the end, then you come over here, you open this slowly, da, 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 and you'll hear it like shh, all the pressure comes out. And then you drain it into a bucket. And eventually I want to get one of these that's longer, so then I don't have to have like this awkward space right here. But it'll drain into a bucket. And a very, very, very important tip is when you open this, you never want this to be in water. So it doesn't reach the water down there, so I'm good. But if there was like water up here, for whatever reason, you don't want it to be in water, because After the process and it's pressurized in here, you come to open this, all the water is gonna go flying into the machine and ruin whatever you were freeze drying. So that would be a stinking bummer. And then your first run in the freeze dryer is going to be a bread run. So you're just gonna have like a throwaway loaf of bread that you are going to put in here. You're gonna click start, go through the process. And pro tip with the bread is, a lot of people say to moisten the bread or don't moisten the bread beforehand. I moistened the bread beforehand and it took like 16 hours and I was so frustrated. I thought it was broken, so I just clicked cancel. And I did another bread run, didn't moisten the bread, just put in normal bread, and it took like 9 hours, I think, and it worked and I was so happy. So don't moisten the bread, it's not necessary, but the bread run is to make sure everything's functioning properly, to get that new smell out, and just a nice test. So the next first real batch I'm gonna be doing is fruit, frozen fruit that I have a load of, and I'm so excited. Another important note that I thought of, I'm in the middle of my first fruit batch. You always want this to be open. You always want that to be open. If it's closed, it could ruin the pump and then the oil will get dirty after 5 or 6 rounds. Whereas if it's open, you'll have clean oil for 20 to 30 rounds, according to the manual. The freeze dryer setup is that stinking easy. You could probably tell in the video of the unboxing, I was like overwhelmed and I was feeling a little bit sick, so I was kind of like all over the place, but man, it is so easy and I cannot wait to run my first batch. I already got the fruit, the frozen fruit out of the freezer. Like, I am ready to go. I'm gonna be popping it in there and I'm gonna be having some freeze dried fruit. But if you have any questions, comment down below. I can help you. And my experience has been amazing. It's pretty self-explanatory. The manual is easy to read. Sometimes manuals are like, I don't know, feel like they're written in another language. Super easy to read, so you can check out your manual too if you have any questions. And on that note, I'm gonna go start my first batch and you can check that out in another video. And don't do anything a GUBBA wouldn't do, but make sure to check out my website, GUBBAHomestead.com. I also just dropped a new podcast, the GUBBA Podcast. And so thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Don't do anything a GUBBA wouldn't do. Bye!